Hey guys, welcome to this video. My name is Sarah, and if you're new here, welcome to the Ancient Esoterica YouTube channel. If you're returning, welcome back. So today, I don't really know what we're here to talk about. I can feel that a message wants to flow through me, and it's been quite an intense week since I last filmed something. And I feel like we're all feeling this intensity to some degree or another. And I will say that the gene key of the week this week is the 47th gene key, which holds the shadow of oppression. And this shadow of oppression really speaks on human suffering and the fact that every single being on planet Earth holds their own unique slice of suffering. We are all born encoded within our DNA karma from our ancestral past, whether that's our parents' parents, or even just the collective past of humanity. We all inherit ancestral anguish, as the Gene Keys book says. And this is a gene key that I have struggled with. And when I've read it in the past, it has really triggered me and has caused me to kind of spiral into this agitation and just discomfort within my body. And I've noticed that hasn't really happened a lot with other gene keys, primarily just this one. And it's interesting because the number 47 is a number that's very sacred to me. And for all my friends and family who knows me, they know me in number 47. I even have it tattooed on my shoulder. So when I first read this shadow of oppression and it stirred up so much inside me, it scared me a bit. And I actually didn't go back to reading the gene keys for a few weeks. So this 47th shadow of oppression also speaks on our junk DNA, which is also called our non-coding DNA. And within this DNA, it actually accounts for 98% of our genome. And within this junk DNA is stored a lot of our ancestral karma, our trauma from our past, from our ancestors' past, and from humanity's past. But also within this junk DNA, I believe, is encoded our psychic abilities, our gifts, and everything that makes us a unique soul. So the importance of the junk DNA is that it's not junk. It is a storehouse of ancestral information. And when we awaken, we start to activate this storehouse of genetic information. And this is why when we start to awaken, we dive deep into a lot of karmic patterns and themes from our past that have traumatized us in order to heal it and integrate it and clear it from our field. And the more we raise our frequency, the more this ancestral karma comes up. And as a result, when we move beyond these shadows and clear out all of this karma and this programming that is not ours and doesn't serve us anymore, when we clear all that out, we're left with space to activate our natural gifts. And that's why I say our junk DNA holds not just this ancestral karma and these patterns that are coded within our DNA. It also holds the coding and the patterns for our abilities and our gifts and our natural authentic frequency and essence to flow through us. So science sees this junk DNA as junk, as purposeless, and as just junk. But as we will see, the more we enter these new eras of humanity, this DNA is going to start coming online more and more, because we've reached a point where we can finally turn back and face our past, our collective past, and also our ancestral past, whether that's being able to awaken to a point where we can process our childhood trauma, or we can process what our parents were going through when we were children and how they may have imprinted their own suffering and struggles onto us. Not intentionally, but what I mean is, if we have emotionally unavailable parents, or if we have parents who are uncomfortable with their emotions or the emotions of others, that can make us turn into people pleasers, because we don't want to disturb the peace and we don't want to upset those parents or authority figures who cannot handle our emotional energy. And this doesn't mean our emotional energy is wrong or negative. It just can usually distort our view on emotions. And essentially, like I said, as we start to awaken, we begin to understand these dynamics, and thus we can release the hold that the shadow of oppression has on us. Because we are not oppressed by our trauma, and we are not oppressed by our karma. In fact, I believe that this slice of suffering that we're all given holds within it the seeds for our greatest gifts. That, if we're born to parents who are uncomfortable with, or don't know how to regulate their emotions, or are uncomfortable with emotional energy, that gives us the opportunity to fully honor and understand our own emotions, and then moving forward with future generations, be able to hold that space for regulation so that others don't become gaslit or become confused and unwilling to face and process their own emotions, thus, stuffing them down, yada, yada. And so as we shift out of these periods of using only logic to discern our lives, and as we step more into the mystery and into the randomness of all life, we will really start to understand the divine nature of all things. And what I mean by this is that science and humanity for thousands of years has been really unable to understand a lot of the randomness and a lot of the mystery of life, which comes with emotions. And I feel like the reason why for generations we've been unable to regulate our emotions is because they're so random and because they're so mysterious. Some days we can just wake up into a funk, not really knowing why, and that true reason can be because this ancestral karma and this trauma that's stored within our DNA is finally starting to unwind itself and is looking to be released through expression. Because the more we suppress how we feel, what we think, who we are, the more that just becomes toxic within us, and that suppression eventually will have to be expressed. And that's why a lot of the time, when people get too drunk or they're under a lot of pressure, these suppressed emotions can come out, because they're really looking for any way to be expressed, and oftentimes in moments of weakness, or just when the time is right and that energy can finally move through us, it'll come up. And it seems random, but if we really have the tools to look beneath the surface of what we're experiencing and to not just judge things at face value, then we can really start to understand the multidimensionality of our feelings and our emotional energy. And so every human being holds the memory of every experience they've been through, but also the experiences of the collective humanity. We all hold these memories and thus these feelings within our being. And as the more of us awaken, we will start to see a lot of these themes of the past start to come up. And this is talked about a lot in the awakening community, where as we enter this new light age and as we enter this raising in frequency, we're going to see a lot of shadows really coming out and being expressed full force. And the reason why this happens is because for a while these things were operating below the surface. And maybe they would come out in little leaky ways, kind of in unconscious ways, but it's starting to bubble up and become so big that we're very much conscious of it. Like if we're about to say something hateful towards someone, maybe it came out in very leaky, passive aggressive ways in the past. But the more our frequency raises, that will start to come out more bluntly, and we'll be more conscious of it, and we'll be able to become aware of our patterns and of our hateful tendencies. Just one example. Because oftentimes when we do raise our frequency and we shift into that awareness, we become scared of ourselves and of our own unconsciousness. And I really feel like the key here is to not become afraid of this, to just accept that it is a part of your humanity, and that for a while we've been mostly unconscious, but we're shifting into an era where we are both equally conscious and unconscious. So this doesn't mean we're going to go through this great solar flash and one day we're going to all awaken fully conscious and the deep state and the matrix is all going to crumble. And I don't believe in that narrative. I believe that these shadows and these systems of oppression and these energies and karmas within us are going to keep coming into our awareness and keep getting louder and more in our face, so that we can fix the holes and fix the leaks in our own energy and in the energy of our systems. Because all of these shadows have been operating for thousands of years and are all rooted in a series of core wounds that all of us hold, as I mentioned. And when we step into the light of consciousness and we catch ourselves acting out of those core wounds, the key is not to shame and not to demonize and not to fight it, because that is that perspective of fear and that misunderstanding. The key is to really just accept it, to understand the energy it's rooted in, which you can do by just tuning into that and just really observing and contemplating the essence of the action or the experience. And then once you see what that root energy is, you can choose to act differently. Like, for example, if you've always been very hateful towards wealthy people because you have a core wound within you that envies wealthy people and thinks that rich people do bad things with their money and that they got their money from bad ways, etc., etc. So if you catch yourself reacting from that state, you can become aware that this maybe was a fragmented truth that you held, but there is an alternative perspective, and that you can choose to approach the matter differently. You don't have to shame yourself and you don't have to prove yourself wrong or whatever. Just honor that perspective, see where it came from, see what traumas or experiences built it, and then choose to see another perspective to shift yourself through that energy. Because if we continue to uphold and to react in the same ways, we're going to continue those patterns flowing through us. And the key is to step more into balance. So, yeah. So I wish everyone so much love and the best of luck on whatever journeys you're moving through right now and whatever shadows are coming up for you. And really just honor everything that's coming your way, because if you're experiencing any sort of discomfort or any tension, the more you can lean into that, the more you will come out on the other side stronger, more confident in yourself, and more trusting in your ability to move through anything. Because these energies are not forever, and a lot of the time when we experience an uncomfortable emotion or sensation, we're afraid to lean into it because we think we'll be trapped in it forever, and we think we'll really exacerbate that, make it bigger, you know what I mean? But that's not always the case. And when we can really learn to just trust our ability to be in the observer role and to get through anything, the energy will dissipate and you'll come back to your normal neutral frequency. So I'm sending you all so much love. Peace out and namaste.